Thank you again for joining us. The What It Takes Radio Company presents the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience. And today on adventure number 5, some ways the Jesus entrepreneur might coach and mentor his colleagues and friends. Thank you for continuing with us as we go into adventure 5 on how to be a world-class Jesus entrepreneur by seeking. That's right, seeking and choosing the Jesus entrepreneur experience. Well, to use the old horse racing, or maybe it's the always racing metaphor, which is now we've covered a great deal of stuff and a great deal of material, and we're kind of circling around now, coming into the final turn and into the home stretch. And so we want to end well, and that's very important for us. Now, right now, someone asked me this question, and I wanted to address it right now. A lot of this is very new stuff, and someone said, and rightly so, Stan, you're going to get some real pushback on some of this. You're going to get some challenges. You're going to get some criticism. How are you going to deal with that? Of course, good question. And by the way, that might be something we want to talk about at a later time, because obviously Jesus, the entrepreneur, attracted many, many fans and followers, but he attracted many, many critics, and obviously some opponents, and even some enemies. By the way, that's the way it is. Please remember that. That is how life works. And so that is one of the skills and one of the spiritual gifts you're going to have to ask for and develop in life. And so that may be something that we talk about. I have a presentation that I can help you with that. But let me just give you a brief way that I would answer this now. Yes, first of all, I'm not a theologian, and I'm not giving you any particular systematic theology. Don't pretend to be, don't want to be. At the best, I'm an amateur at it, but this is not a theology. This is not some belief system that I've made up or put in place. What you're getting is 30 years of my story. This is my story. That's what it is. I'm sharing with you an insight that came to me as I made a significant career change. And what you're hearing are the thoughts, maybe random meanderings and sometimes mistakes, but it's my story. And so that's my story. You may have a different story. You may not particularly care for my story, but it's my story. And you can't argue with my story. You can just share your story. And so this is my experience of having to put together my walk with Jesus and my entrepreneurship. As I said, I've been doing this. I haven't got a regular paycheck in 40 years. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been a person who has to go out and create value, and hopefully those who I create value for will pay me for it. So that's what you're getting from me. My story, my learnings, my sufferings, my stars, my scars, it's all there. So you'll have to deal with it, but just remember, I'm not making a significant amount, if any, truth claims, but it's my story. And this leads us particularly to, as we say, adventure 5, which is, okay, now, how do we do Jesus's teaching, counseling, coaching, and mentoring? What is the Jesus way for doing that? Now, we've already learned a little bit about perhaps how he chose people, how he chose men and women to be a part of the team, part of the movement, part of the organism, and that's what 3:12:70 was all about. But now, with that issue of withness, how do you work with individuals? If you want to do that, is there a way that we can learn from Jesus how to mentor others, how to coach others, how to do that as a Jesus entrepreneur. Well, what I'm going to do today is, as I've said before, this is about Jesus and then me. This is a little bit more of me than Jesus, because we don't have a lot of his interactions personally, one-on-one with people. It's primarily with the group, and obviously sometimes in large numbers. So what you're going to get right now is something that over the years has come to me, particularly when I was asked by a major organization to develop a plan for teaching young men and women uh, who were wanting to be mentored, and the men and women who were older and more experienced, how to mentor them. And so we developed what was called the mentoring mission, and it's an attempt to help you be a good coach and mentor to somebody who is younger in experience and perhaps even younger in age. And I think we learned a great deal in doing that ourselves and in doing the work of discovering what that could be. What happened was that at that time I wrote a small book, and it's been around for a few years. It was successful. It was successful in its quality. It was the perfect kind of book today. It was before its time. It's about 70 pages, which is actually a good size for a book today. I've oftentimes said one of my experiences has been that I've read a book and my kind of cynical line was, well, they took 30 pages of great material and they crammed it into 300. And obviously those people now who are making lots of money by giving you a 15-minute or a 30-minute summary of various books are proving my point. They're saying, you don't have to read the whole book. Just subscribe to us and we'll give you a 30-minute, 30-page version of the book, and that's all you perhaps need to know. And we called it, as you may have seen, having conversations that count. And that's what we'd like to view it. It's how to have conversations that make a difference in helping people, in helping them go and grow and become more mature, more seasoned, more experienced, better at the work they do and better at the businesses they are building. And so with that in mind as a prelude, let me just give you, and I believe Jesus would be okay with this, what I call the 5 steps to having a conversation that counts, something that will make a difference. Well, here we go. There are 5 words, and the first word is affirmation. The first thing you need to do, no matter what the situation, you have to treat that person as being one of the most important persons in the world. You have to affirm them. No matter what it is, begin by affirming them. Even if it's a tough and bad and difficult conversation, you grace them with you have the courage to face up to this, or ask for this advice, or be willing and able to take this. Look for a way to affirm them. And part of this is what I learned from St. Paul, who has the greatest affirmation. And here it is. If you read many of his letters, which are basically coaching conversations, one way, because he isn't there in person, obviously, because as I've said, he spent a lot of time in jail. So if you want to be more like Jesus, please keep in mind, or more like St. Paul, you're probably going to get into trouble quite often. Spent a lot of time in jail. I think some of you have actually seen the kind of joke that has been put together where someone took the life of St. Paul and made it into a sample pastoral resume. If you're applying to be a pastor at a church and it talks about your arrest and your jail time, and well, we certainly wouldn't want someone like that. But here's what he says in many of his conversations. I thank God upon every remembrance of you. I thank God for you. Have you ever had anyone say that to you? I thank God for you. Whenever I think of you, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Well, it's an affirmation. And what I'm encouraging you to do is, in some way, whenever you want to have a conversation that counts, see if you can find a way to have an affirmation. Then, of course, you ask a story question. How can I help you? Or what's going on in your life right now? Or is there something that is particularly difficult for you right now? Why do you think we're in this situation? Maybe in this mess? Um, see if you can get them to start with their story first. Before you get into what you want to talk about, give them permission to be affirmed. They get to start. Don't sit them down and say, now, let me tell you. You say, now, let me listen. Let me pay attention. Obviously, either this conversation is one in which everything is fine and they're seeking good help and guidance, or it could be a conversation where they're upset or they're not doing well, and you are both involved in that. So, as you can, begin with an affirmation. Okay? Now, start to seek attention. What should we give attention to right now? Okay, we're here together and we want to make this worthwhile. What is it that we should give attention to? And you, if you're perhaps in the superior position in some way, you might say, now there is something that I would like us to talk about. This is important to me. I think I need to tell you about this. We need to talk about this. And also gain from them what they would like to attend to. See, what you're trying to do is come to a place where you have at least something of common ground, common desires, common understanding. What should we pay attention to in this conversation? How should this focus? We've heard our stories, and obviously we've shared a relationship and ice breaking, and maybe a touch of humor, maybe a little gossip, maybe about current events, about something fun or funny or maybe sad. But now, what should we give attention to? Think about that. Affirmation, and then attention. Then, what's the one thing right now we need to concentrate on? Okay, what's the one thing right now that, at least in this conversation, we want to come to some understanding about? Some direction, some intention, some reparation, which is, what do we need to repair? What is the one thing that we want to gain someone said, so this isn't a complete waste of time. So that, as one of my friends says, so that I don't want to be 1 hour closer to being dead and we didn't get anything done. What is the thing we should concentrate on now? Okay. Affirmation. Okay. Attention. Be fully present. I really mean this. That's so important. One of my mentors said, Stan, as a coach, be fully there and no place else. You're not working the room. You're not distracted by others. You're not looking around as to what else is going on. You're fully there. You're fully present. One time, and I was proud of this, so please let me share it. One person recommended me to a potential client, and I was told by that potential client who became a client, and he said, she told me that Stan Houston will listen to you like you've never been listened to before. Okay. Affirmation, attention. Now together, concentration. Is that okay so far? Well, now what are we going to do? We have to get to the point of decisions and actions and directions. Where are we going to go? What is our direction now? What are we going to move? Which way? What are we going to do? Something that will lead us to decisions and more than that, actions. What are the directions we're going? Where are we going? What are we going to do? What are we going to agree to? What is going to change? What is going to make this a conversation that counts? It made a difference. It was worth our time. It was worthwhile. Something was agreed to. Something was changed. Something was challenged. We don't leave it with, it didn't count. It did count. Direction. Are you okay with that? Now, there are other ways that you may do this. And in my book, I actually talk about some of the different stages you can go through as you do your concentration and direction. And I think the book is out of print now, but I still have a PDF, and we're going to redo it. This was particularly done for a particular business sector, but the subject was performance mentoring. But what we want to do, and what we will do, is performance mentoring for Jesus entrepreneurs. And particularly maybe Jesus entrepreneurs in a specific industry or a specific market group or market niche. We can do that. Maybe we could do that together. That might be fun. Why don't you think about that? Obviously, I'm old and passing on, and perhaps you would like to say, Stan, I'd like to help rewrite that book with you. I would love to meet someone like that and have that opportunity. As I said, I'm old. I'm not going to be here forever. Probably not going to be here for a long time. And I might go soon. And I would love to see if we could have a conversation that counted about you taking over and teaching people how to be Jesus world-class entrepreneurs and mentors. Okay, here we go now. Affirmation, attention, concentration, direction, benediction. Yeah, benediction. Always close with a benediction. Now, a lot of us, particularly in the Christian tradition and even otherwise, oh, good, that means church is just about over. Oh, finally, the sermon is just about done. We're going to have the benediction. That means we're done and we can get out of here. Well, of course, it has deeper meanings than that. And of course, part of it is we'd like to benefit you, by blessing you. A benediction. Well, that might be a part of it, but we can always pronounce a benediction. Because the word actually means bene, which is good, diction, speech. In effect, just as you began with an affirmation, you've been together for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. As I say, all of you have spent that time and it's gone forever. Hopefully it was worthwhile. Hopefully it counted. But now, end it as best you can by saying, good words, good thanks. Find ways. Now, years ago, and obviously I'm dating myself, but still around, is the Star Trek series had a character named Spock who had a finger sign which I never get right, but perhaps you remember. He would say, live long and prosper. Live long and prosper. Uh, that's better than have a good day. But have a good day is nice, but live long and prosper. Well, let me tell you what. You know what? That was a benediction. That was a benediction. It was speaking good to another. There was also another one that came out of the Star Trek series, which was, hey, make it so. Make it so. You can do it. Make it so. So I would encourage you. And as I said, these are things I learned from watching Jesus do his work, at least as I read the story and I saw the stories in my mind. And I do oftentimes read that way. I can't read for information. I find that I have to read that helps me put things into my story and other stories. That's just how I learn, by turning things into stories. That's how I do broadcasting, taking that and taking the story into a radio program. Remember, storytelling is the only effective means of communication. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Close with a benediction. And then go back and take a few notes, think it through, then say, what was the one thing we decided to do? Make sure that after this conversation, either an email or even better, a personal note, thank them for their time. Thank them for the opportunity. No matter what the result, say thank you. And if you can, please pronounce a blessing on them. Best and blessings to you. May it go well with you. I wish you all the best. Close with a benediction. There we go, my friends. Simple thoughts, but I think they have some profound opportunities. And by the way, we're obviously waiting to hear from you as to how we can help you. As we say, this could be, and I think Jesus would smile at this. I think he would say, good work, Stan. Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know, but I think he would. At least that's kind of the way I see him. So there we go. It's more me than Jesus, but I think and truly it's Jesus the entrepreneur, and it's me and him coming together to figure out how we can have a conversation, a coaching conversation, a friendship, a relationship building conversation that truly counts, makes a difference, perhaps makes the world a little bit better, or as someone said, maybe even helps create a different world, at least for you and me. Again, all the best and blessings. Thank you for being with us. And we move on to the fifth point in the diamond. Yes, it's a 5-pointed diamond, and the most important part of the diamond is the fifth, business. And that's coming up next on how to be a world-class Jesus entrepreneur. I hope you'll stay tuned for that and join me with adventure number 6. Please reach out to us. I'm Stan Houston. StanHouston@gmail.com, witradio.net, 520-664-7002, USA.